The Plattsburgh Air Park that honors the missions of the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base over its 50-plus year history is getting a restoration. Volunteers have spent long hours refurbishing the FB-111 and B-47 bombers, a small group of retired Air Force airmen and officers, as well as military aircraft enthusiasts. While the bombers get the bulk of the restoration work, one volunteer has been hard at work since last spring, finishing the air park itself. Our Derek Muirden has his story this week, how after 26 years of service in the Air Force, he's making sure brick by brick, the memories and the many veterans who served at Plattsburgh Air Force Base are remembered.
The air park and the memorials and the aircraft really reflect a very important part of the history of the Air Force in the North Country.
Ever since the Plattsburgh Air Force Base closed in 1995, both civilians and veterans alike have been coming up with a way to best celebrate the Plattsburgh Air Force Base and its decades of service. Now, 25 years later, they're on the cusp of just that kind of celebration.
Michael Wayne, known as the Chief because of his rank as Chief Master Sergeant during the last years of his 26-plus year career as a medic in the Air Force, is working on a less glamorous but equally as important part of the park. The brick pentagon which surrounds the flagpole at one end of the site. The Benevolent Protective Order of Elks gave the project its service memorial, granite benches and all, to the project when it closed its lodge on Cumberland Avenue. Even the red brick pavers were a gift from the Elks, dozens of them, which were all carefully marked as to their location in the design before they were moved. But then someone came along and moved the bricks into the cover of some nearby bushes to prevent them from being stolen, but jumbling up their position numbers in the process. Reorganizing took the chief weeks, but he never lost the why in what he was doing.
Well, it was a personal offering to me, and then from me to the city to turn around and to repurpose what the Elks had constructed down behind their lodge here in Plattsburgh, and their desire to see that their effort and indeed the money that they spent to build that monument, that it continue in the Plattsburgh area in a prominent place where the public could further enjoy it.
The chief thinks he'll be done with the brickwork and other improvements to the park by the end of summer. And then I think he can enjoy a personal satisfaction in his contribution to the air park, especially as he sits and gazes from the park to a piece of land just across the road, which is now occupied by a bank. But in his day, Michael Wayne, the chief, was assigned to the 380th Strategic Hospital, which occupied the exact same spot as the bank. A victim of the redevelopment of the airbase after it was closed, the hospital, now demolished, was where a Chief Master Sergeant, Michael Wayne, reported for duty every day as a high-ranking, knowledgeable, and respected member of the military medical community. From Chief Master Sergeant to bricklayer, the chief sees both jobs as equals from his unique perspective of both.
It's a continuation of the volunteer effort that all of us veterans and retirees put into our careers in the Air Force, and really reflects our love and appreciation for what we did in the Air Force, and to see it well represented to the civilian community.
There is a special brick that the chief, Mike Wayne, added to the garden this past week. Inscribed with these words in Latin, it means, "I made this." It was the very last brick he laid in his year-long project. The brick garden at Clyde Lewis Air Park is located just off Route 9 in the traffic circle in South Plattsburgh.
People Near Here is brought to you by Northline Utilities.